So today, we're jumping into Alphonse Daudet's incredible story, The Last Lesson. It's set way back during the Franco-Prussian War, but let me tell you, its message is as powerful as ever. It's all about how language isn't just a bunch of words we use to talk. It's the very soul of who we are. So let's dive right in. First, think about this for a second. Have you ever had something in your life, maybe a person, a daily routine, anything, that you just assumed would always be there? And then, suddenly, it's about to be taken away. That feeling, that sudden gut punch of realizing what you're losing, well, that's right at the heart of the story we're about to get into. All right, so we see everything unfold through the eyes of a young kid named Franz. And for him, this day starts off pretty normal, or at least he thinks it does. He's late for school, he's worried he's going to get in trouble, but he has no idea that this day is going to be anything but normal. Just look at the difference here. I mean, on any other day, his school is just chaos, right? You've got all this noise, the commotion, desks opening and closing, his teacher's ruler smacking the table. But this morning, it's quiet, like Sunday morning quiet. And that eerie silence, that's our first big clue that something is really, really off. And you gotta remember, Franz's head is still in a totally different place. He's stressing about grammar, of all things. This lesson on participles he didn't study for, and he's just waiting for his teacher, Monsieur Hamel, to lay into him. He has absolutely no idea what's really about to go down. So what's causing all this? Well, it all comes down to a single piece of news, an order from Berlin that's about to change everything for Franz, his teacher, and his entire French village. So as he's rushing to school, Franz starts noticing these weird things. There's this crowd of people huddled around the town bulletin board, which, by the way, has been the source of all the bad news for the last 2 years of the war. He even sees Prussian soldiers out drilling. You can just feel the tension in the air, right? But he doesn't quite get what it means for him. Not yet. And then, bam, the news hits him. He actually calls it a thunderclap. This is the order that came from Berlin. From this day forward, only German is allowed to be taught in their schools. French is now forbidden. This is their very last lesson in their own language. And you can see the weight of this order the second you look inside the classroom. Hamel, the teacher, he's all dressed up in his fanciest clothes, the kind of stuff he only ever wore for special days like inspections or when prizes were given out. And maybe even weirder, the back benches, which are almost always empty, are now filled with the village elders. They've all come to sit in on this one final lesson, like they're paying their last respect. Okay, so the shock is starting to sink in. And this is where the story pivots, right? It goes from being about this piece of news to what it all means. It digs into why a language is so much more than just a bunch of words. So for his last ever lesson, M. Hamel isn't just drilling them on verbs. No way. He gives this incredibly passionate speech, almost a love letter to the French language. He calls it the most beautiful, the clearest, the most logical language in the entire world. He's practically begging them to hold on to it, to cherish it, to guard it. And this right here, this is really the heart of the whole story. M. Hamel tells them that when a people are conquered, their language becomes a form of resistance. It's like having the key to their own prison. It's how they hold on to who they are, even when their political freedom has been taken away. And what the Prussians are doing here, there's actually a term for it, linguistic chauvinism. It's the super aggressive, unreasonable idea that your language is just flat out better than everyone else's. So this order from Berlin, it's not just some administrative rule change. It's a weapon. It's a way to try and erase an entire culture by forcing another one on top of it, a tactic we've seen again and again throughout history. And this sudden, shocking loss, it forces every single person in that room to face up to their own regrets. They're all thinking about how they just took it all for granted. You see this change happen right before your eyes, especially with Franz. Think about it. Literally that morning, his school books were just a pain, right? A heavy burden to carry. But now that he's about to lose them forever, they've suddenly become his old friends. He can't imagine giving them up. This is that moment of realization, when he finally gets what he had. And it's not just Franz feeling this way. You can feel it in the whole room. Every single person, the kids, the old folks in the back, they're all hit with this wave of remorse. They're all thinking the same thing. We had so much time. We could have learned, we could have paid more attention, but we always figured there'd be a tomorrow. And, M. Hamel doesn't just point fingers at the students.
In this incredibly honest moment, he says, look, we're all to blame here. He blames the parents who sent their kids to work instead of to school, and then he blames himself for sometimes giving them days off or making them water his flowers instead of teaching them. He sees it as a shared failure by the whole community.
So all of this shared regret, this sadness, it all builds to this incredibly powerful climax. And it's this ending that shows us exactly why this story still hits so hard, even more than 100 years later. So the final moments are just gut-wrenching. The church clock starts to strike 12. It's over. That's the signal for the end of the lesson and the official start of Prussian rule. You can even hear the trumpets at the Prussian soldiers outside. Hamel, he stands up, he's pale, he's choked up, he tries to speak, but he can't. The words just won't come out.
So, since he can't speak, he does the only thing he can. He turns to the blackboard, and with every ounce of strength he has left, he writes these 3 huge words. Vive la France! Long live France! It's his final lesson, a silent act of defiance that's louder than any words he could have spoken.
When you step back, the story really leaves us with some big ideas, right? It hammers home that our language is a massive part of our identity. It's a powerful reminder that education is freedom, that patriotism isn't always about big battles. Sometimes it's about the quiet defense of your culture. And probably the biggest one of all, we have to appreciate what we have before it gets taken away. And that really brings us full circle, back to that first question. But now it's a little different. After walking through this story with France, it makes you wonder, doesn't it? What parts of your own culture, your own language, traditions, your history, might you be taking for granted? It's definitely something worth thinking about.